Hello, good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to our webinar, first webinar of the year. Jerry Regetz, I'm going to unmute you just for a second, just to make sure, or you can unmute yourself and make sure you can hear me okay.
Good evening.
Okay. Okay, well, I've got a couple things to, this is Jim Neal. I'm going to kick off the meeting with just a couple things about the webinar. Looks like we still have some people joining. We're up to like 75, 80 folks that have joined us for the webinar tonight. The webinar is going to last probably 45 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood, but definitely will not be over an hour. We've got Jerry Regetz, who's going to be the main presenter and going over a lot of really good material to kind of get us ready for the season. And then at the end of the meeting, Norman's got a few administrative things. And I know that there was one question somebody already had about when the scrimmage schedules were coming out. I'm going to see if I've got Norman or Aaron on here, and I'll let us know about that at the end of the meeting. So I don't know if everybody's been on a webinar or not before. Just a couple quick orientation things. You should see whether you're on your phone or if you're at a laptop or a desktop computer. There should be a little question mark or that you can click on to send the questions. And I'm still learning the system a little bit, but I do see that, that Duncan and Dean Cook and a couple others have submitted a couple questions. So that seems to be working fine. I'm gonna, once Jerry starts talking, I'm gonna monitor that. So if you have specific things you want, we have for Regetz, we can do that. And as far as getting credit for the webinar, this is everything's automatically logged. I can see who's on. We're also going to do a couple poll questions throughout the webinar to just make sure that people are engaged and interactive with the webinar. I'm going to shoot one of those off in just a second. And then I think that was it. I do appreciate several people have watched the video. If you're not able to do the webinar or the meeting, as you know, you can go on mycvboa.net and view the video. If you do that, you just need to email or text me, and a bunch of people have done that this week, so that'd be great. So I'm gonna, and again, I'm still learning the system a little bit. I'm gonna send a quick poll question out. See if this works. I'm just gonna leave it up for maybe 30, 45 seconds. We'll give just a minute or two. We've got about 90 folks online right now.
Jim?
Yes.
It sounds like you're moving closer and farther away from your mic or turning your head as you're talking.
Okay. I'll try to do a little bit better. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this out.
Good.
Wow. So some people think that the basket's 9 feet, or probably one person. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Regetz, and he will take it from there. When he's done, Norman's going to hit a couple of administrative things, and we'll be good.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning into the webinar. As you know, I'm really excited about being able to do these and have other people do these and sharing information. I think this is a great supplement in addition to everything that we do on Board 90. My objective tonight is to go back and review things that we've put in place the last 2 or 3 years. We've seen great strides in implementing things, doing things better, doing new things as they come along and change. Tonight, I want to try to get you all to start getting back into the manual. The manual has all the rotations, it has all the mechanics and signals. After tonight, I'd like you to all go through and review your signals page. It's in the manual and the rule book. All right, what we have tonight is a update. The manual comes out every 2 years. So last year we all got the manual. Some of us can't find our manual this year. We don't get one this year. So we got this to put up there to help you review and brush up on the mechanics and signals. All right. Okay, Jim, it won't page down for me. All right, let's see now if I can get it. Okay. Changes. These were all implemented last year. So mostly this is review. As we know, 2 hands to report to the table. This will be posted on mycvboa.com probably by the end of the week if it's not already on there. Again, we're using 2 hands when we report to the table. I'm just going to scroll down through and hit the highlights on everything. Again, it shows about how to use 2 hands. It's all right to use 1 hand for single digit numbers, 0 through 5. Warning for the coach, that was implemented last year. It explains how to handle that, how we do that. It also says a warning is not required prior to calling a technical foul on bench personnel or head coach on the bench for conduct. This is just more information on that. All right, major editorial changes. The coach's box, 28 feet, we know that from last year, the change. Team bench locations, replacing a disqualified player. Remember, 15 seconds. Now, we had to find a way to fiddle and go in here and edit this so it was correctly listed as 15 everywhere. Some places it was listed incorrectly. Okay, remember what Jerry taught us last year on the 5th foul, for example. Table tells us, we tell the coach, we start the clock, then we take care of telling the player and our partners. One little tip, I've noticed that sometimes we tend to start to shoot free throws on the 5th foul when the player hasn't been replaced. A little key that we need to all do, every time we report a shooting foul, we need to turn around from the table as the trail and tell the lead how many shots. We don't need to assume we know how many shots as the lead. The lead should be under the basket, having the players lined up correctly, and when that trail turns around and tells them 1 and 1, 1, 2, now we shoot the free throws. I see sometimes we're trying to start free throws before we have a disqualified player in or a sub. So please, after you report the foul, always look at the lead and tell them how many shots we have on shooting fouls. Technical fouls, this just talks about the changes that we went through and covered last year, about administrative, technicals, and so on. Again, I want to get you into this and into the manual and reviewing all of these. All right, and now, points of emphasis last year. Just real quickly, again, Jerry covered this rule last year. It talks about a player becomes a ball handler when he or she receives the ball. Probably will be a test question again this year. If you notice, I'm going to go back. It lists the part about placing 2 hands on the player, placing extended arm bar, placing keeping the hand on the player, contacting the player once or more with the same hand or alternating hands. Talks about guarding and things that we weren't doing well in past years, but I think we're doing much better with this. But again, here it is listed for you to go back to and referring to it. And by consistently calling these fouls, players and coaches will adjust to the flow of the game, will be enhanced. Again, we referee the game. Go ahead and officiate the game. The players and coaches will adjust. Granting timeout. We've gone over this for years and years and years. Go back and review it because this is something we have to constantly review, especially with 3 people on the floor. Remember, if the play is in your area, you should be looking in there and taking care of the timeout. If you're 90 feet away and the ball's in front of something, I shouldn't say that, 40 feet away and the ball's in front of your partner and there's a scrum on the floor, let's make sure the person with the ball in the play is the one that is handling the timeout there, so we have timeouts granted when players have control of the ball. Again, more granting of that. The free thrower. Again, last year they talked about that. Here's the picture of it. All right, the shooter is the only player allowed in the semicircle prior to the ball contacting the ring. Again, they had it in here wrong. We had to edit it. Players outside marked lane space, including the free throw shooter, cannot enter the lane spaces until the ball contacts the ring. Again, a good review statement here. All right, uniform enforcement. We are slowly getting better. I think last year we got much better with this. The statement, "I am not the uniform police," is correct. This is all from the National Federation. These people are the ones that set the high school rules. However, you are an official that is hired to enforce the rules of the game. Uniform equipment and apparel are all included in the rulebook and must be enforced. The committee has made a concerted effort to simplify the definitions and color requirements of the undergarments and apparel. Consistency among the officials and enforcement of these areas will provide for a unified statement to coaches. When we go out on the floor, check your players. You can check them from head to toe, from toes to the head, from the feet to the head. Make sure they have, if they have compression sleeves, if they have headbands, wristbands. Ask the players, "Hey, does anybody have a t-shirt on? What color is it? What color is your jersey?" Remember, we need to get that all before the game starts. Of course, then they take the jackets off, and now we see t-shirts we didn't know. But we need to all go out there and try to do the same thing by getting the uniforms and all that equipment straight before the game starts. Again, when you go out the floor, take another peek, see if those waistbands are rolled up, rolled under, rolled in. I don't think I'd go out and do a dress check. That's not what I'm saying. But we've got to get the very obvious, blatant stuff and clean this up. We're getting there, but there's always going to be somebody trying to do something different. When some officials choose not to enforce the rules, they are only hurting the profession and setting up the next crew for criticism from the coaches. How true that is. When in fact, the officials that did not enforce the rules are the ones that deserve the criticism. All right. Last year I went to work a tournament, and first game uniforms are fine, second game fine, third game, come out the fourth game, 3 great officials, and the team from our area, uniform perfect. Team from out of this area up north somewhere, they've got 3 players with the stuff all rolled down. They play the whole game and no one says a word about the uniform stuff. We've got to find a way with 3 people on the floor, get those waistbands when it's just sticking out like a sore thumb. Let's make sure we get them fixed and worked up, because again, we got other people working hard. Maybe somebody just had a mental breakdown for a moment. Game's going great, game's going fine, but we got to get that from the start. We can't have players walking out onto the court as the game starts and rolling waistbands down. So we've got a 3-inch waistband that's solid white with a dark colored uniform. So things like that, we've got to all sneak a peek. Just because it's not our team doesn't mean we can't address it. All right, 3-person mechanics. I'm going to go through some high points on here. I would like you all to go back through and pull up stuff that you feel you need to review and look at. Just list a whole bunch of things in here that it covers on the next few slides. Terminology, common language. I think we're pretty good on that, but there's some little tidbits in here that would make us all use some of the same words. We know about ball side, bump and run, ball goes out of bounds, and it's going to be put in play in the backcourt. Trail's going to come over, put the ball in play, lead's going to run. It's another way of having somebody vacating their area for somebody else to come and push them down the floor. Center official, we know all that, close down. Move to improve. Well, move to get a better angle. For years we've been taught you've got to have the right angle to make the right call. A lot of it, move to see the play, move to get a better look at the play. Move to get a better angle. Move to improve your view, your angle. PCA, primary coverage area. I think everybody's pretty much put that into their repertoire by now. Straight line, strong side. These are things we can talk about in our pre-games. Now, some of the things I'm going to cover and go over in the next few moments, we cover in our pregame. That's great. So maybe in our pregame we do things just a little different. That's okay. But here we have some rock solid methods of using techniques that as we go through our game or we walk in and we work with somebody brand new, we at least are on the same page and know what everyone's talking about so we can be comfortable all that night. Okay, this is where we stand. I don't know if you can see my little cursor error here. Jim, can you hear me? Anyways,
Yes.
Can you see my cursor arrow?
Yes.
All right. I think the 28-foot line, maybe even down free throw line extended for the U1 and the U2 is probably a little bit better. I think, as a matter of fact, I know it is. Now you can go down and talk to those guys. Hey, and gals, those players, what color shirt you got on? Do you have any t-shirts on? Check out their stuff, see what time they're going in. All right, that's where we go to start the game. Some people will tend to get up in here a little bit. Definitely not here. 28-foot line, somewhere right here above the free throw line, backcourt, wherever you need to go to cover those players. Just talks about who becomes a lead, who becomes a trail. Just a little tip. Just a little tip. It's really, excuse me, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. It's really easy. If you throw up the ball, all you have to do is follow who becomes the lead. If you're the C or you're the person designated to toss the ball, when you toss the ball, freeze, see what happens so we know who has the arrow. Everybody gets the arrow, check the arrow, put the whistle in your mouth, and you follow the person that becomes the lead. All right, primary coverage areas. Jerry, if you would like to comment on this at the end, please do. But here's the center's primary area. Notice this area right here. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. And then the leads area over here and the trail. Crucial, the trail has to really work and drive down below the 28-foot line, maybe even that magical 28-foot line we keep talking about, and cover this area. Sometimes we might draw this primary coverage area more along this area and let the trail have more of this. That's not bad. Cover this in your pregame, what your primary area is. We know when that ball drives to the basket, the lead needs to pick that play up. Trail, don't let go of it. Remember, a drive to the basket, the trail, you've got to stay with that play all the way to the basket. If the play gets missed by the lead, trail, you've got to make sure it's gotten. Some people want the trail to take it all the way to the basket anyways, especially if it comes right down through this area here. That's okay. Again, cover this in your pregame. Center. If there's a play right here, here's what we need to start picking up plays as they definitely come over into the center's area. If we're in this area here, trail really needs to be looking at that play and covering it. When in doubt, if they're straddling that line or if we're in doubt whether they're definitely there or over here, trail, get as much of this as you can. If it's definitely in this area, center, you need to pick that play up. Now, if the play starts in the trails area and drives over here, trail, you've got to stay with it until the closely guarded count changes. If you don't have a closely guarded count, as soon as he's definitely, remember I say definitely in the center's area, then let the trail take it till it's definitely into the center's area. Then the center needs to pick it up. All right. Now, when the ball goes into the center's area, we as trail, we tend not to drive down like we should. When the ball comes back over toward midcourt, then the trail's got to drop back to pick up the play coming back. All right, so in your pregame, cover your primary coverage areas, and that will help you tremendously, I think, on that. Line coverages, blow your own line is what they're saying here. Inbound plays, inbound plays. What they're saying here is the lead is going to go to one side of the basket or the other. Again, as Jerry's told us for, 10 years now. Ball goes out in the lane. You can take it wherever side you're on. Make it convenient, less rotation. If it definitely goes out here, though, lead needs to be on this side. If it definitely goes out here, outside the lane, lead needs to come across over there. Coverage in transition. We started hitting on this 2-3 years ago. Great improvement, gang. Just fantastic job with this. What they're saying is, as the lead, don't cut the corner and go to the baseline if the ball is all the way in the back court. The ball is way in the back court here. Lead, take a little check at the free throw line, extend it. Do I need to hold up on my sideline to help out? When the ball is definitely going to come across the division line, you can then go to the baseline if you need to help out on the sideline. You can cut the corner if it's barreling down the middle of the floor or down the far side of the floor. But don't be too quick to run to the baseline if the ball is deep in backcourt. You want to hold up sometimes in case the Tennessee trap, where the dribbler comes across the division line and they trap him right here. Now he picks up his dribble. It's like having another defender with that division line. They can't step in the backcourt, and all of a sudden there's a hack and a whack on the back side, and the trail is trying to come up and get there because the ball came so quick. Maybe if we held up, we can help. But definitely if the ball goes out of bounds on a pass or a deflection, or it's tipped out on that trap or on a long pass, if you as the lead are standing here, you can give help on that sideline if you need to. Press coverage. C, stay back. C, stay back. C, you should be lining up on the first line of defense, the first defender, first line of defenders as they are in the back court. Use the same rule of thumb that you use when you're refereeing a play in the front court, but now you're in the back court because it's a press. When in doubt, dive down a step. You've got to really cover all this area all the way up through here and both junctions. Lead, again, don't be too quick to take off. Trail, we tend to want to get up the floor. Maybe we need to start working toward the lane, especially if that pass goes over here to this side or to the block. See, drive down and cover that play. Shooting and rebound, this simply talks about our looks and our angles. Remember, as a center, when in doubt, drive down. It's like we all get caught in that, where do I go as a C? Drive toward the baseline. I'm telling you, stay wide, get toward the baseline so you have peripheral vision. You don't want to be looking toward the baseline. You want to get to the sideline and drive down so you can see through the play that's in your area. Just talks about rebounding here, where we look, pretty basic. Leads looking straight forward. Trail, you've got to cover up toward in the lane. Center, you've got to get the weak side and all the way through the lane, up through past the side of the basket. 3-point shot coverage. We should never have two indicators. If we do, and the ball's not in your area, just drop your hand. What probably happened is maybe the person whose primary area for the 3-point indicator was a little slow getting it up, or maybe they looked at you for some help. Put it up. When the person whose area it's in gets the 3-point indicator up, drop your hand and go back to your coverage area. This is a pretty good indicator where they want us looking now. You know, sometimes we draw it here, here. This is pretty good because this is the same as our primary coverage area. Hey, again, when in doubt in this area, yes, I'm making it pretty good size. When in doubt, trail get it. Trail sneak a peek over there. If it's definitely over here, see, you've got to get it. Sometimes it has to do with where the play starts. Play starts over here. C's got the 3-point indicator. Remember, the person opposite, you've got to get the flight of the ball on the release. So let's work hard on having our indicators. One indicator, 2 people will echo if the ball goes in the basket and is good for 3. Rotations, they should be thoroughly discussed at a pregame conference. It only takes a couple seconds. Ball location is key for the rotation. The T or C can facilitate a rotation, but only the lead initiates a rotation. This is terminology and words. I don't think I'm trying to tell you to do anything different than we've been doing. So remember, common language, common vocabulary. A rotation should only take place when all 3 officials are in the front court. All right? Be aware of that. Maybe we're facilitating and getting ready, but let's make sure all 3 people are in the front court. Now, what they're saying here with the vocabulary, we want a rotation begins only when the lead moves laterally and penetrates the key area. That's the free throw line. The rotation is not complete until the lead passes beyond the far lane line extended. So when the lead goes over, trail drops down, the C drops back and becomes the new trail. Lead must officiate play in the post even while moving across the lane. So if you're the lead and there's something over there you want to see, go ahead and rotate, but don't be looking over on the far side of the lane. You've got to referee the lane, because if you're not, no one else is. You've got to cover your area and come across. If the lead begins to rotate and the ball is quickly reversed on a quick shot taken, lead does not have to complete the rotation. So if you start, get a couple steps in the lane, just back out. There should rarely be 2 trails. Rarely. I kind of tend to feel never, but sometimes it happens. There may be 2 C's for brief periods of time.
Hey, Reggets?
Yeah.
Hey, because you asked me to do this, just a quick time check. We're right at 30 minutes in.
I think I can finish this slideshow, correct?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to give you a heads up. That's
Yep,
all.
I think I can. Thank you, though. No, I appreciate that. All right, if a trap occurs near the division line on the C side of the court, the C can move higher to officiate that play, but the lead is going to be the one to initiate a rotation. So what they're saying, if the C needs to get up there, there's a trap around the division line, and all 3 officials are in front court, the C can go back and get that. They're saying we are not technically starting rotation until the lead's across. Now, if the trail is in backcourt because the play has just come up, that's different. The center can just go back there as part of his backcourt coverage on a press or pressure coming up the floor. So there's a little difference there. One is when the ball's coming up the floor. The other one's when we've been in the front court in a set offense, and now the C needs to go back to cover that play. So C, just go on back and get that. Lead, come over and start the rotation so that the trail official can drop down. If the lead does not rotate, she should just go back into normal C position when play permits. Good rule of thumb. I think it's just like we've been taught. Jerry's been saying for you got to get to where you can see and referee the play. Remember, only the lead initiates rotation. The C can facilitate. So just different words and terminology, what we've already been doing. Just talks about the last one, rotate. lead goes to the ball side, T closes down, C completes rotation, last to rotate. All right, you don't need this. You can go back and pick that up on your own if you wish. All right, the last thing, after the officials, all officials must recognize the rotation has occurred. All right, if the lead rotates late and a transition occurs, it's the old lead, the new trail coming up the floor, responsibility to look up the court and make sure partners picked up the rotation. It's not a bad thing for the two people, both people that have rotated, the first two to rotate. It's probably this, it's going to be the lead and the trail. Just sneak a peek and see if they finish rotation. If not, that new trail come up the floor, you've got to look up and finish the rotation. Come up the middle of the floor and finish it. If not, the new trail, prepare to dislocation on the floor. That just goes through it. Throw-ins, eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. Trail handles all throw-ins in the backcourt, regardless of the location, bump and run if necessary. Sideline throw-ins, end line throw-ins. Again, they talk about going to home base here. Never, never. Lead here, trail here. Never do that. Hold up on the sideline here. The only thing that's going to happen in here is a fist fight or a shoving match. You can referee that from here. However, if there's a long pass and a tip out of bounds or a wreck rate here, if you're up on the sideline in the corner or up more, you can really be a great help. It's going to happen 4 or 5 times during the year where you're going to say, hey, I just was standing right there and I had that. Jim, I'm almost done. Reporting foul area. That's where we shall get to go. Basic foul switches. Rotations. The last thing I have to cover is, again, the switches on an offensive foul or a team control foul. It's real simple. It's real simple. I'm going to make this very simple, even simpler than before. All right, I'm going to use the cursor real quick here, if I can, when I get to the sheet that I want. All right, it's real simple. If you're the lead, or you're the lead on this side of the basket, if you're the lead on opposite or bench side, and you have a team control foul, player control foul, go to the table, report, stay at the table side. You will become the lead if the ball is put in play on your side, on the table side. If the ball goes in play opposite, you will be the C. So again, lead, team control, player control foul, table side stay, you will become the C or T based on what side of the basketball is put in play. Now, trail, center, your bench side or opposite, same rule of thumb. If you are opposite and you have a team control, player control foul, step out, report, go back to your sideline. You will be the trail or the center if the ball is on this side of the basket. Same thing with the trail, team control foul, player control foul. Report, go back to your sideline. If the ball is on the table side, you will be pushed to the lead. If the ball is on the opposite side of the basket, of the free throw lane, you will be the C. So, center, trail. If you're bench side or opposite, report, go back to your sideline. Whatever side the floor the ball is put in play will push you. Okay, disqualifying player, 15 seconds, remember. Disqualifying player, table tells you, coach, clock, player. Last thing, and I'm going to cut it off. Free throws. Real quick, I'm going to right to my coverage area. Lead. You have the bottom space and all the people across. Center. You have the shooter and the two opposite. 1, 2. They want you to get that shooter and pick those up. Trail. You've got to pick up everybody out here. Everybody beyond the free throw line extended and the 3-point arc. Remember, if somebody's deep and you can drop back a little bit, and you don't have to go past this 28-foot line and you got them in your peripheral vision, good. But if you have players deep in front of the bench at the other end, you got to get back to where you can see what those players are doing. A lot of talking, a lot of yakking, a lot of whatever sometimes going on. So again, lead, you have the bottom player on your side, and everyone, the 3 players, the 3 slots across, center, and the C, he's almost too high here. Let's get between the free throw line and the top of the key. All right, Jim, thank you very much. I hope I didn't overload you too much, and I hope you got something out of it. Get in the manual. Start reading things in the manual. Thank you very much.
Hey, Jerry, let me ask you a quick question. So the videos, you want me to post those for folks?
You know, we got a lot more time to go on. I might get some more time in for training.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to take this long on the slideshow.
Yeah, that was helpful. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you.
We can talk this week. We'll either post them or, you know, if I get 10, 15 minutes next webinar or the week after, that'd be fine.
Okay, perfect. Very
What
good.
do I
Thank
need to do, Jen?
So I've got a couple quick things I want to hit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Norman, who will close us out. I got 2 questions, or a couple of them that I've answered, but a couple questions that came up that if Norman doesn't hit it, I will make sure we reach out to our commissioner and respond. But one was when the scrimmage schedule is going to be released. I don't know when that is, and I don't see Aaron, or I'm not able to kind of turn Aaron on for him to speak to that. So I don't know, Regitz, if you know, or Norman, you know, you can let the membership know. Also, there was a question about transfers getting their rule book and officials book. I believe they were going to get mailed, but I don't know if maybe Vaughn picked those up. So maybe Regitz, if you want to chime in, you can address that one.
I know I've gotten a scrimmage, so that's all I can answer on that. So they're coming out, and they will come out. Real quick to Jerry Stone, can you see if Jerry Stone has anything he wants to comment before we get away from what I've covered, in case I misspoke on something, please?
Yeah, I've included him as a panelist, and if he unmutes, he should be able.
If you would like to, if he's got something to comment or would like to comment, please.
Yeah, Stone, if you, anytime you want to unmute and jump on, do that. Real quickly, again, okay, Jerry.
Yeah, I have nothing to say.
Okay. So 2 other quick things, and I'll turn it over to Norman. Again, this presentation will be posted. There's some stuff that Regit skipped over that's, again, kind of good grounding stuff for getting into the season. We do have another webinar next week. If you go to mycvboa.net, it'll be kind of the same type of thing, except we'll be working with Mr. Stone, who is going to be going over rules interpretation, and test questions. That should be real helpful, and looking forward to that. I'm going to do another quick poll question, leave it up for a minute, and then Norman is going to close us out. Just going to leave it up for another 30 seconds. And here are the results. And I believe the correct answer is yes. And if Stone wants to extrapolate on that next week, I'm sure he'll do that. The meeting next week also will probably be in the 45-minute, but definitely no more than an hour. So with that, Norman, I'm not sure if I forgot anything, but why don't you unmute yourself and close us out?
All right, Jim, you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
You hear me?
Yep.
All right, so we'll close it out. I believe we have roughly 50 folks on webinar. It's just a reminder that the attendance policy is you're either on webinar, you have 7 days to complete the video taping. After that, attendance really doesn't qualify. 30 days to review it online on CVBOA.net, our new site, or
7 days.
Yep. And so if you do not after 30 days, if there's some error with the secretary's report on attendance, it doesn't matter. You're going to be absent, so you have 30 days. That's the new policy the executive board voted on last week. So I appreciate everybody being on webinar. The scrimmage schedules, my understanding from the commissioner, are out. There'll be more coming, probably more or less the private schools. So be looking out for those. Rule books for those folks who are transfers. I think there were approximately 7 to 8. I saw Vong sent me an email attachment yesterday. So I'll work with Vong on getting those to the transfers, but they should have been there last week to receive their books. If not, anyone else who needs those books will be charged $10 for postage, and we'll get those out. But we'll work with those folks to get those rule books out there. Pink whistles, we're working on those for February. We'll try to get those during the December meeting if we can get those by that time. So we'll worry about those pink whistles then. So be on the lookout for Aaron, our commissioner's emails to you. Schedules are coming out. Make sure you update your blocks. That's important for the commissioner. If you're in football playoffs, volleyball, make sure you contact Aaron to ensure that you block out your schedules. So don't wait till the last minute. If there's any questions for me, please contact me. All the at-large members have a specific number of general memberships, so they'll be contacting you. Reference any disputes, questions, anything you need the board to know. With that, Jim, I'm done, and good job, Jerry.
All right, great. Thanks, everybody, and hopefully we'll get some folks on next week. We had 105 people on, so appreciate you guys joining us, and look forward to the season starting. Take it easy.